Hey, welcome back to a new episode of All My Baguettes. I feel a bit weird because the first 4 episodes, it was recorded back to back, and this one is, I don't know, it's been maybe 3 weeks or something, so I don't know, I feel weird coming back to the camera, but it's a nice feeling. As usual, I'm gonna start with my little chit chat updates of my life, and then we're gonna dive in the topic of today, which is brain rot and how if you read more books it might help, and also it would be followed by a selection of books that you could read that I've got with me. So if you need, I don't know, some inspiration, if you want to discover new books, just wait for the end of the video. Let's just dive in my little updates, okay? The first one, it's gonna be weird for you, and even for me, it's been a few weeks now, so maybe it's not worth mentioning, but I will still do it because I like to talk. It's the Spotify Wrap. I don't know for you, but every single year, I can't commit to just one app, so by the time I got the Wrap, it's maybe I'm using Spotify for half of the year, and before it was another one, or I wasn't using it, or I don't know, so every time it's not really representative of what I was listening to. And also, that's a fact just about me, but I've got this thing when I go to playlist, I'm listening at night for getting into my sleep era, I guess. It's not always working, but it's one or two playlists that I'm playing every single day, and sometimes twice or even more when I just can't sleep. So obviously, when I'm watching the ranking, it's just my whole playlist, because obviously that's the song I'm playing the most. But that's not necessarily the songs I prefer in my life, it's just nice songs that I like to listen at night. That was the point on the Spotify Wrap, but I was waiting for this so much, and especially for the podcast one, for my podcast in French, because it's just so many numbers, and that's so fun to see how you involve in that sphere, I guess. Because for those who don't know about having pretty real statistic when you got a podcast is, I think, from my point of view, pretty hard, especially if you don't pay for any other website and you just got the one from Spotify. You got a few demographics, you got a few numbers, but it's really not precise at all. And from someone who's coming from YouTube, when I got all these numbers and everything, it's a bit weird and scary. So I like having my Wrap when I can have proper numbers and know where am I, mostly. And the last one in that range of ranking and end of the year was the Goodreads Choice Awards. So I don't remember all the books who got an award, but what I realized, and I think it's pretty funny because I think I talked about this in a previous episode, I'm not sure, but maybe. So on the awards, on 15 different categories, 9 were from woman, 1 from a non-binary, and then it was another author already mentioned, and then it was male. So giving this number, it was mostly female author who got an awards, and the audience of Goodreads and the people who got a vote were mostly female. It was 60% and 40 male. And it's just so funny because usually in terms of numbers and everything, it's mostly men. But when you're taking a platform when it's mostly women on it, actually we got women who got awards. I don't know, it was just a random statistic to say, again, that's a problem, are men. Okay, thank you. Let's get to another topic. The reason why I took so much time to record this episode One was more like logistic because I wanted to have the physical books with me to show you, and I got a few problems with the delivery, but that's one thing. The second thing was I think I mentioned it before, but I don't really like making appointments and anything related to my health. Like that's not something I really like to do, and I need to work on that. I got a problem with my eyes, and it was just like really swollen and not good looking, and I was panicking, and it was awful. I went like to 5 different doctors in not even a week. Anyway, there was a lot of stress, and also I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I will need to wait a little bit longer before filming again because my eyes, it's like, wow, maybe not perfect right now to film. And then I had to go to the dentist. I mean, it was planned. It was planned, but it was still awful. I sat there for almost 2 hours. And the number of time I was like, I need to cry. I need to leave. I don't even know, but I was awful. So for like a bit of context of why I was to the dentist, is like I knew it, okay? That's something I've been aware of since before I left for Berlin, so it's not really new, but it's just like I wasn't aware of how I would be feeling when it would be happening, and spoiler, it wasn't great. Before leaving for Berlin, I went to the dentist being like, yeah, I'm just gonna check everything and I'll be fine. I wasn't fine. I had this cavity, which fine. I mean, you can fix that. That's not a problem. But it was behind the wire I got after getting my braces off. So the guy was like, the dentist, so you need to remove the wire to remove the cavity. And at that point, I was leaving for Berlin. So I was like, okay, well, I will do this later. Then I went to the dentist here to ask about this and see. And she was like, yeah, sure, okay, we're gonna remove the wire. The wire thing is not in the category of the dentist, but the orthodontist, which changed everything in terms of insurance and price. But that's another talk. But what I learned is usually when you got the wire, you don't have that much glue on your teeth. And I was having a lot. So when she was like, yeah, maybe it would be like 40 minutes to remove the glue and the wire, and then we can do the cavity, I think I stayed for like twice as long because every time she was stopping and be like, oh, there's so much glue on your teeth. Sorry, I need a bit more longer to do this. And I was like, okay, great. I went back to the movie theater to see Knives Out 3. Let me explain my point of view. When I saw this movie, like directly, like the first day, I was like, yeah, okay, it was good, but I don't know, something was missing. I wasn't in the right state of mind, I guess. But then I started watching TikToks about it and realizing a few things and how everything was actually so well written and everything was having like another meaning behind. And now, with a bit more thinking, I really loved it, and maybe I will watch this movie again. I don't know. I need to stop saying that and not going. For the people who saw the first and second one, for me, like especially the second one, I think it was really colorful and funny, and it was a lot of the detective in it. And I was expecting this, and in the third one, I feel like the detective is not, I mean, he's here, of course, but I feel like he's not the main character anymore. He's less on the screen, and the narrator wasn't really him. There was like still jokes and humor for sure, but way less than the second one. The point that made me think like, oh yeah, that maybe it's not that great was I was going to this movie to actually, I don't know, laugh and have fun, and it was actually much more deeper than what I was thinking. And I think that was the point. Like I was having expectation that weren't meant, and then yeah, I was just like, okay, great. If I remove this expectation, I just judge this movie as like a normal movie without comparing it to the first two one. The first two one, it was really nice, and especially Like the lights and all the shots, they were so good. So good. A part that made me really laugh is I was watching this TikTok saying that the Knives Out franchise, they were collecting Marvel's actor like Infinity Stones. And I was like, yeah, that's true. This is like another actors from Marvel. That was my updates for this episode. Now, let's talk about reading, but firstly about brain rots. I think at that point everyone saw it, at least the word or heard of it, because there's like so many videos now being like, oh, you need to delete your social media, you need to use your brain more, you need to stop use ChatGPT, you need to just like use your brain and live again as a normal human being. It's just like the brain rot. It's like everywhere. And it was actually, let me read my notes, by following a public vote in which more than 37,000 people, as they say, we're pleased to announce that the Oxford word of the year for 2024 is brain rot. So, okay, it was last year, but it's still worth to mention here. If you're just taking the definition, is the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as a result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online, considered to be trivial or unchallenging. So basically, TikTok. Like, if you really want to just address this, yeah, it's mostly TikTok or just spending your day on Netflix and not learning anything. I started to see video being like, oh, hobbies for girls to not be on your phone. Oh, I swapped my hour on my phone to read this sort of content, which fun, I really love, but also it's, I think, really interesting to see how before it was so cool to have an iPhone. It was so, like, it was a good sign. It was fancy to have the latest phone, the latest laptop, and be online. And now this idea of being cool is more like, oh no, I don't have Instagram. Oh no. At night I'm just like reading a book and I'm not on my phone anymore. I don't know if it's like a real thing or if it's more performative and being cool and being like, yeah, I'm not like the other person here. It's like music. We got so many options that when someone is like, oh yeah, no, I don't have Bluetooth. I'm just using my earphone with the wire and I'm still having CDs and vinyls and all this old stuff. Fair, that's fine. You can use that, but also just the quality and everything is so much better, and especially if you just want to go out, like, you're not gonna bring audio CD on the bus or something. Make me question if people doing that are really doing this because they enjoy like old style of music, I guess, or if it's just to being cool, because it's like this image of vintage, but also it has to be not too vintage. And one of the things I'm thinking about telling you that is the record player that was, I mean, it's probably still in the shops now, but the one I'm thinking of was the one in Urban Outfitters, which was more like a design object, but still made for vinyls. And it was this mix of, here, take it, it's vintage, it's old, you're gonna look cool, but also it was made this year and it's actually really modern and you have Bluetooth on it. I'm here now to speak more about reading because that was my main topic online before trying to talk a bit more about other subjects. So yeah, we're gonna take the reading part to help you, help me, help everyone try to maybe disconnect a bit more from their phone, internet, learn and unbrain rot. I don't know if it's something I can say. Let's start with a very, I don't need to tell you this, but we're still gonna talk about this because we need introduction to this. How reading will help you fight your brain rots. First, obviously, it's gonna make you discover new things, new culture, new ideas. It's gonna improve your vocabulary, and even if it's like in your native language, you can still learn a few different words or maybe arguments, or way to talk, everything. And that's really fun. That's really nice, I have to say. And lastly, I have this quote saying, engaging your brain by reading regularly can strengthen it throughout your life, which might help lower your chances of facing serious memory loss and other cognitive decline in older adulthood. So that one was really cool. I'm not actually sure because I'm someone with a really bad memory and I've been reading a lot. But maybe just don't compare that to me and that would be fine. My two other main points before getting to my list of books that I'm recommending for maybe learning more and just expand are one, access to books. Because I'm aware they can be expensive, and also if you like me and you like reading in English but you're not in an English country speaking, it might be difficult to one, find books, but also it would be more expensive, and we don't like that. But don't fear, people, you still have so many options to find books. One, you got the library, and trust me, even if you're like, yeah, no, my library doesn't gonna have any English book or any cool one, just try. You don't know. Sometimes you're gonna have a really nice surprise. Then Vinted. Vinted is so cool, and I think now it's a bit more open. Because at some point I was realizing if I was like in England, I couldn't sell my book in France, but I think it's now not an issue anymore. So you can just have so many languages and so many books. And the good thing on Vinted is usually you have this discount if you like take several books from the same person. So that's perfect. Of course, you've got the bookstore from your own town. In the street also. That one is more like if you're living in Berlin or just Germany. There's like so many books outside, and not just books, like clothes and everything, and people just leave that outside and like take it. Usually it's mostly in German, but maybe it would be in English. In the same vibe, you got either way the flea market or anything online like the Facebook market, any website like this when it's like secondhand, and you can maybe exchange, also swap. I know on Meetup in big cities at least, you have sometimes book clubs, and the book clubs are doing sometimes like swapping books or just donating, and you just can find new books here and then maybe new friends as well. That's really nice. And lastly, you also have just ebooks, and anything over a certain period of time, like the classics, are gonna be free. So if you have a Kindle or just a phone, you can download this and just read it. And one of my last, it's not a way of finding books, but more inspiration. There was this really cool YouTuber who created a challenge to anti-brain rot challenge anyway, and she made this really long list on Storygraph with a lot of categories. So if you just want to find a book with a bit more diversity, written by a woman or anything like that, you can just click on the link in description and have some ideas, or just add more books to the list. And before going to my selection, I just wanted to mention and dedicate that part to women, because, well, I think if you have the choice of choosing a book to help with the brain rot and everything, and just if you want to read, you have the choice to pick something a bit more diverse. You have the choice to pick a woman author. You can pick a book with a topic with more diversity. You can choose, okay, and not just take the first one coming on the shelf. And that's really important, because you know what? And that's, again, a quote, but for the top 10 best-selling female author, only 19 of their readers are men. But for the top 10 best-selling male author, the split is much more even. It's like 55 men and 45 women, which is fucking crazy. Like, you can see that women are open to read anything. They can read male or female, that's fine. But if, like, men are just reading mostly men. Like, why? If you had a choice, and maybe if you are a man or you know someone, just, I don't know, maybe you can give a book from a female author, because that are also helping a lot of, like, understanding people and other point of view and how, like, we living. Like, it's, you cannot pen a life ignoring half of a gender. Like, it's literally crazy. And going to another quote, it says, since its founding in 1969, only 33.3% of Booker Prize winners have been women. And don't forget, 2 of them had to share it. The Pulitzer also has a 33.3% female winner rate. The figure for the National Book Award is even lower at 25%. And continuing the downward trend, only 15 of Nobel Prize winners for literature are women. Are we reading women writers of color, queer women writers, those with a wide range of gender identities and expression, women writers of different income spectrum and with different body shape and abilities? We need this perspective in order to create a world that allows space for everyone, a world where having diverse perspective is the norm rather than the exception. In this perspective, we offer an opportunity for all those parts of our community to be honored in their wholeness. Okay, take notes. Anyway, let's jump into my list. I've got to mention a few trigger warnings. I mean, I'm not gonna list the trigger warnings, but just know that it would be books written by women, and some of them are mentioning really hard topics, especially for women. So if you're intrigued by one of them, just maybe check if it's not too much for you, because it might be. It's like really heavy topics. The first one I wanted to show you, and I'm just so excited. I don't know why. It's this one. Look at it. It's so cute. No, is it not? It's Notes to June by Joan Didion. This book got a story. I was planning to read it, but it wasn't on top of my list. I just heard of this book before it got released, and I was like, oh wow, that sounds really nice, you know? It just never crossed my mind again, and the other day I was at the bookstore, and I saw it on the table, and I was just like trying to read a few lines, and it was so good. For those who don't know, Joan Didion was a really famous author. She wrote so many things, and I heard of her for the first time because of Gilmore Girls, because at some point, I think in the latest season, like the year of magical thinking is mentioned, and that's how I just learned about her. But she's just writing about a lot of deeper and sad topics. I'm pretty sure the year of magical thinking is based on when you're losing someone, because she lost her husband and daughter, so it was like not really fun for anyone. And this book was released after she passed away. It was like this year, I think, 2025. So it's still like 3 years after she passed away. The idea, the concept of that one is so interesting to me, but also there was a lot of talking, because I will explain what the plot is about, but it's not. So it's like some discussion, because we don't know if it's completely ethical in terms of moral, but you know, like she's not here anymore, so we don't really know. So like the title mentioned, this book is just notes she wrote in 2000 mainly, and that's the note she was taking while she was seeing a psychiatrist, and the notes were meant for her husband to just have some idea of what was going on when she was going there and talk about this, and I guess have some memories of everything. So just the concept of this, I'm like, that is so interesting to just like see how she was taking notes and have this insight of how it was for her, but also just seeing how the doctor was trying to guide her, where the conversation was going and everything. And what I found really interesting is usually people getting to therapy, it is mostly for them. But she did went fully, mostly, even if that topic would be related to her, for her daughter. And she was actively going to make things better with her daughter. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's crazy that a parent is actually going to therapy, and also mostly around that time. Because if, I don't know about in my teenage year, I would be like, if my parents were going to therapy, I would be like, oh my God, that's so, I don't know, modern of them. I don't really know, but that would be, wow, a huge step. And it was maybe 15 years later, and she did that in 2000. And that's, I don't know, I think it's just like impressive in a way. It might be normal actually, I don't know. Yeah, nice to see that she's trying so hard to make things better and to connect and try to find some way back to her, because the problem the tiny problem in all her story and life is because at that point she's, I think, over 50 and her daughter is over 20, so it's like later in life, and her daughter got some trouble with alcohol and just addiction in general, so it's not going great. Joan Didion is just really in control and scared of a lot of things, and I don't know, her relationship with her daughter is not so great, but also she's kind of scared because she knows she's not doing well, and she's trying to get back to her and have some conversation and dialogue about what is happening, and to help her but not being too much. And she's trying to connect that to the husband as well, because, well, that's, you're gonna parents with like a second person, obviously. I love it. I don't know if it's bad of me, but it just getting into people's heads and just knowing their thoughts and just knowing how they're thinking and how everything is working for them. It's so freaking interesting. And also another point is their daughter, that she was adopted. And it's, I don't know, but I wouldn't have thought that when you got adopted by two famous people, I mean, yeah, obviously you're still gonna have problem, but she got adopted in a really good family with good money in really nice cities. There was like still problems, and interesting to see that even if you got everything right, that doesn't mean you're just gonna succeed and be happy all your life and you still have problems. Anyway, that just like, I really love it. I'm towards the end actually. It's really nice, but also it's, as you can guess, really heavy and really sad. It's not just her being a bit depressed and the daughter being addicted, it's so many other people having problem and issues that just mainly people being sad. But I don't know, I love it. The second book, and I think if you are into design, like for the book cover, you will love it. For the person who are just listening to the podcast and not watching it, maybe just check on Google, but the book cover is, I love it. Just, yeah, it's so nice. And it's called Reservoir Beaches. I don't know if the first word is supposed to be said in French or not. That's a book was longlisted for the International Booker Prize 2025 and winner English Pen Award. So for a bit more context, the International Booker Prize celebrates the word best fiction in translation. Each year, it's introduced readers to the finest novels and short story collection from around the globe that have been translated into English and published in the UK or in Ireland. And she was the only Hispanic author to have made it into the prize long list this year. And in terms of plot, it's 13 stories about 13 women facing daily life in Mexico with its constellation of gender violence and marginalization. And the author told the newspaper that her goal was to show a variety of diverse women in very adverse, complex contexts, and to have them be different voices from those that had been heard in literature. Just the fact that it's so many short stories in a part of the world I don't know much about. I'm so curious and I would love to read that one. And at the back it's saying, life's a bitch. Okay. So I've not studied this one yet, but I think it would be so good. And also it's oh wow, it's actually written really big. I think it's gonna be a quick read. And I love having perspective of women about how all the problems they're facing. The third one is Margot's got money troubles. And this one, just trust me on that one, but once I finish Joan Didion books, I'm just jumping into that one because I've read the first page and the first page got me hooked. And that is not something that is happening a lot of the time. So I need to read that one, okay? And I don't know if you're gonna just realize, but every books are written by women, okay? Yeah, sure. Anyway, so the plot of this one is when she finds herself pregnant by an English professor and in need of cash fast, she comes up with a plan. She will start an OnlyFans as an experiment, producing content and writing storyline unlike anything else out there. I'm sad. I'm literally sad. One, it's so freaking interesting, and also OnlyFans, sign me in. I want to know, and I heard so many good things about this one, and also I think it's really funny. I'm not sure about that, but the last one is called Homesick. To be honest, I'm not sure about this one. I started reading the first few pages. I don't know if I will like it. I don't know. It's giving me the vibe of Dolly Alderton, like Normal People, or this sort of book. It's just a girl living in London, being 26, and she's trying to figure out her life. She's not having a lot of money. Her boyfriend is kind of a dick, but she got a sum of money due to her dad dying, basically, and she's trying to buy this flat, so she's trying to have anchor in one place and build just her own home, And that's saying, but between noisy new neighbors and Tom being the boyfriend, pushing her away, Mara is about to discover that things aren't going to be quite so easy to fix. And the last one, which is not on my... because all the books I just shown you are new books. That was my nice new TBR for trying to read more diverse book, I would say. But this one, I already talked about this in another episode, and I've already read this one, but I just need to mention this again. It's Greta and Valdin, and it's queer, and the author also is a woman, having this background of having nationalities and everything, so it's pretty interesting in terms of dynamics if you want to learn more about family. And so I will try to just read the back of the book because I don't think I'm made for explaining plots. While Valdin can't seem to get over his ex-boyfriend who fled to the country, Greta has an unrequited crush on fellow English tutor Ollie, who uses her for admin support. But all hope is not lost for these love-lorn siblings. Through the misadventure and mess of modern adulthood, at least they'll still have each other, unless drama gets in the way. From bad dates to family feuds, An embarrassing karaoke night, this acclaimed bestseller from New Zealand is a fresh, heartwarming and hilarious story about the trials and tribulation of love in its many forms. This is the story of Greta and Valdin, 20-something brother and sister with a near unpronounceable surname and sprawling Maori, Russian, Catalonian family and questionable taste in partners. That was so good and so funny. Just read that one. Okay, thank you so much. That's the end of today's episode. I hope you like it. You can give me a note on Spotify or a comment, or just reach out and we can chat. We can have a talk. You can mention more books maybe in the comments to help other people. That would be fun. And I will see you next Thursday. Bye!